Welcome to Daily Drizzle English, the place where small stories from everyday life help you learn English in a gentle, emotional, and natural way. In today's video, we'll follow one special journey, from warm family moments during the holiday season to returning to work in a busy bank after the new year. This story is not just about events. It's about feelings, challenges, growth, and little wins. As we walk through this experience together, you'll learn useful English expressions, common daily vocabulary, and how to describe real emotions in English, all in a simple, easy to understand way. Let's begin this story, one small step at a time. The holiday felt like a dream. After many weeks of work, I finally packed my bags and went back to my husband's hometown with him. The air in the countryside was cold but soft, and it smelled like food and family. When we arrived, everyone hugged us tightly. "You're finally here." My mother-in-law smiled. "We've been waiting for you too." Her hands were warm, and her eyes were kind. I suddenly felt like a little girl again, safe, welcomed, and home. The next few days were full of joy. We went to the market with my father-in-law to buy fruits, snacks, and small gifts for our relatives. I helped my mother-in-law cook, and she laughed when I cut the carrots too slowly. "You city girls are too gentle," she teased. "This carrot will grow old before you finish." I laughed too, and I felt my heart open more. On New Year's Eve, we dressed up and went outside with the whole family. The children ran around with glow sticks, shouting, 10 minutes left, 5 minutes left. I held my husband's hand. We counted together, 5, 4, 3, 2, 2, 1. Fireworks exploded in the sky like bright flowers. Red, gold, and blue lights danced above us. I looked at my husband and whispered, "Happy New Year." He smiled and kissed my forehead. "Let's make this year beautiful," he said. That night, I couldn't sleep. I was so full of feelings. I thought about how lucky I was to be surrounded by love, by laughter, and by the smell of warm food and new beginnings. Time moved fast, too fast. In just a blink, it was already the last day of the holiday. Early in the morning, we packed our bags again. My husband's mother gave me a box of handmade snacks. "For your long trip," she said. I hugged her tight. "Thank you, Mom." She touched my shoulder gently and said, "Take care of each other." As the bus started moving, I looked out the window and saw them all standing by the gate, his mom, his dad, his little cousin, all waving. My throat tightened, my eyes got wet. I tried to smile, but the tears came. "Don't cry," my husband whispered, but he held my hand tighter. During the long bus ride back to the city, I closed my eyes and remembered every little moment. Cooking in the kitchen, holding my niece while she slept, drinking tea with my father-in-law as he told old stories. These were not big, dramatic events, but they touched my heart deeply. I knew that once we returned to the city, everything would become fast and busy again. But for now, on that quiet ride, I let myself remember. I let myself feel. And I promised in my heart to carry that peace and love with me, no matter how busy life gets. The next morning, I put on my work clothes, looked in the mirror, and took a deep breath. "First day of the new year," I said softly to myself. My husband handed me a small red envelope and grinned. "For good luck," he said. I smiled and put it in my bag. "Thank you. Wish me a peaceful day." He nodded. "You've got this." When I arrived at the bank, the atmosphere was so different from usual. The office, usually quiet and serious, was now filled with laughter and greetings. Everyone was wearing bright clothes instead of the usual dark suits. There were lucky money trees, red banners, and soft music playing in the background. I stepped into the office and immediately someone called out, Happy New Year. I turned and saw my teammate Anna waving at me with a big smile. Come here. We're giving lucky wishes to each other. One by one, we walked around the room, saying kind wishes and handing out small red envelopes. It was my first time experiencing this kind of New Year celebration in a workplace. Anna gave me one and whispered, "It's not much, but it means a lot. Keep it with you for good fortune." I smiled. Thank you. This is so sweet. Then something surprising happened. One of the big bosses from head office walked in. He was tall, calm, and always very serious. But today, he smiled warmly and came to me directly. You're new, right? He asked. I nodded quickly. Yes, sir. I joined 3 months ago. He handed me a red envelope and said, Then here's your first New Year lucky money from our bank. Welcome to the family. I was shocked. Oh, thank you so much, sir, I said, almost forgetting to bow. The envelope was thick. When I peeked inside later, I couldn't believe it. It was much more than I expected. When the clock hit 4:30 p.m., the manager stood up and said, Today is a soft start. Everyone can go home early. People cheered softly. I packed my things quickly and called my husband as I walked out. Guess what? I said. They gave me lychee, even the big boss. He laughed. Really? Wow, you're already making a good impression. At home, I opened the envelopes and showed him. Look, I said. And we got off early too. What a perfect first day. He smiled. You're glowing. You look really happy. I sat down beside him and sighed. I am. Maybe this year will be different. Maybe it will be better. That night, while brushing my hair, I thought about how small things, like a red envelope or a kind word, can make a big difference. It wasn't just about the money. It was about being seen, being welcomed, and feeling like I belonged. And in that moment, I believed, maybe, just maybe, I was starting to bloom in this new place. The next morning, the magic of New Year slowly faded away. The office no longer smelled like fresh flowers and candies. The music was off. The red envelopes were gone. And the cheerful Happy New Year greetings were replaced with the quiet sound of keyboards clicking and printers running. I walked into the office with a cup of warm tea in my hand, and Anna looked up from her screen. Back to reality, she whispered with a tired smile. I nodded. I think the holiday really ended today. Our team leader, Mr. Long, walked in right at 8 a.m. sharp. He didn't smile like yesterday. All right, team, he said. We have a lot to catch up on. No more holiday mood. He turned to me and added, and we need your support for client reports starting today. My heart skipped a beat. Yes, sir, I replied, trying to sound confident. I sat down and opened my laptop. My inbox was already full. Messages from clients, reminders from HR, and 3 new tasks assigned to me with red labels. Took a deep breath and started typing. But after just 10 minutes, I paused. I didn't know which report to do first. Everything seemed important. I looked at Anna and whispered, Do you start with the oldest one? She leaned over and said, No, start with the one from Mr. Long. He hates waiting. I smiled, grateful for her help. Around 10:30 a.m., my stomach growled. I reached for my snack, but just then Mr. Long came over. Can you join a short meeting in 5 minutes? He asked. I froze. Yes, of course. I quickly put my snack back and opened my notebook. In the meeting room, I sat quietly, trying to follow what everyone was saying. Most of the words made sense, but some banking terms still confused me. I wrote them down to ask Anna later. After the meeting, I returned to my desk. My eyes were already tired, and it wasn't even lunchtime yet. Are you okay? Anna asked. I laughed softly. I think my brain is still on holiday. She laughed too. Mine is lost somewhere near the fireworks show. By 3 p.m., the energy in the office had dropped. Everyone looked serious, focused, and quiet. The soft start was definitely over. I stared at my screen, reading the same line of data over and over. Come on, focus, I told myself. I remembered what my husband said before I left this morning. Just do your best today. Don't worry about being perfect. At 5:45 p.m., I finally clicked send on the report. It wasn't perfect, but it was done. I leaned back and stretched my arms. Anna looked over and gave me a thumbs up. Survived day 2? She asked. I nodded. Barely, but yes. That night, on the way home, I sat quietly in the bus. The city looked different now, more serious, more gray, but inside me, a small light was still glowing. I had finished my tasks. I had asked for help. I had survived the shift from celebration to responsibility. And tomorrow, I would return, not as the girl who cried on the bus, but as a woman learning to stand strong in her new life. The next few days felt like stepping into a maze. At the bank, everything was new and everything had rules. I sat at my desk with a huge stack of printed documents, all with the title, Standard Operating Procedure. I sighed. This looks like a small book, I whispered. Anna leaned over and laughed. That's only for one process. Wait until you see the others. Every day, I joined training sessions for new employees. The trainer spoke clearly, but the content was still hard to follow. This is how we open a business account, he said, pointing to a long flowchart. Step 1, client verification. Step 2, KYC form. Step 3? My eyes started to blur. So many steps. So many terms I had never seen before. After the session, I whispered to the girl next to me, "Did you understand that?" She shook her head, "No," but I smiled and nodded anyway. At lunch, I sat quietly staring at my phone. My husband texted, "How's the training going?" I typed back, "It's like reading a spaceship manual." He replied with a laughing emoji and said, "Don't worry, even astronauts needed training." His words made me smile. Somehow he always knew what to say to help me breathe easier. In the afternoon, I returned to my desk and found an email waiting. It was from Mr. Long. "Please complete the internal audit sheet by Friday," it said. My eyes widened. That was the task I'd heard about, the one people called the nightmare form. I had no idea where to start. I opened the Excel file and just stared. There were codes, formulas, and tabs I didn't understand. I turned to Anna. "Do you have 5 minutes?" She nodded. "Of course. Let's look at it together." She walked me through the file slowly, pointing at each part. "Here's the customer ID, and this formula pulls their transaction history," she explained. I nodded and scribbled notes. I still felt lost, but now I wasn't alone. That evening, the office was almost empty, but I stayed behind. I told myself, I want to finish this. I put on my earphones and listened to soft music while I checked each row. Time passed quickly. Around 7:15 p.m., I finally clicked save. I looked at the screen and whispered, "I did it." The next morning, I submitted the file. Later that day, Mr. Long walked past and said, "Thanks for the quick work." That was all he said, but to me, it felt like a medal. I messaged my husband right away. He said, "Thank you." He replied, "Told you, you're stronger than you think." In that moment, I realized something important. Yes, the process was confusing. Yes, I made mistakes, but I asked for help. I learned. I stayed, and I finished what I started. That quiet win gave me strength. I was no longer the new girl just trying to fit in. I was starting to become part of the team, slowly, silently, but surely. The next morning felt different. I had barely finished organizing my desk when a message popped up on my screen. It was from our product owner. "Morning. I've assigned you a new task. Check your inbox. Let's talk after the team stand-up." My heart beat a little faster. I quickly opened the email and saw the task description. Daily flow report. Analyze and summarize unusual user behavior patterns. After the morning meeting, I walked over to his desk. "Hi, about the report. I've never worked with this kind of data before," I admitted. He looked up, smiled, and said, "That's okay. You'll learn. This task is perfect for someone curious. And from what I've seen, you're curious." I wasn't sure if that was a compliment or a warning, but I nodded. "All right. I'll give it a try." Back at my desk, I opened the file. It looked like a spreadsheet had exploded. So many numbers, so many tabs, and acronyms I had never heard of before. I whispered, "What on earth is UUB?" Then I checked the notes. Unusual user behavior. Oh, that made more sense. But still, how was I supposed to recognize what was normal and what wasn't? I decided to stay calm. I opened a new notebook and wrote down every field name I didn't understand. Then I went on our internal system and tried to look up definitions. Some of them were helpful. Some led me to more questions. At one point, I even whispered to myself, "Okay, I need a dictionary or a miracle." Just then, Rachel, a teammate from another department, passed by my desk. She noticed my confused face and smiled. "You look like you're trying to read ancient code," she joked. I laughed. "Honestly, it might as well be. Do you know anything about this report?" She glanced at my screen. "Ah, the behavior flow. I used to do that. Want me to show you a shortcut?" She sat down next to me and explained how she used color highlights to mark patterns. Green means regular, yellow means weird but okay, red means alert-worthy, she said. "Trust your instinct. If it looks strange, it probably is." In the afternoon, I stayed focused. While others were chatting in the break room, I sat with my headphones on, going through each tab slowly, making sense of the patterns. There was something exciting about it, like solving a mystery. I mumbled to myself, "This user opened the app 12 times in 1 hour. Interesting." By the time the office started to quiet down, I had finished the first draft. I sent it to the product owner with a short note. "Here's my first version. Feedback welcome." A few minutes later, his reply came, "Good job. You spotted things even I missed. Keep going." I stared at the screen and grinned like a kid who got a gold star. That night, as I walked home under the soft city lights, I felt something new inside me. Not just relief, but a kind of excitement. I had stayed late, asked for help, tried something I didn't fully understand, and I didn't give up. I was no longer just adjusting to my job. I was starting to enjoy it. One task, one puzzle, one little win at a time. So here we are, at the end of a journey that began with fireworks and family hugs and slowly moved into Excel sheets, quiet victories, and late-night reflections. If you followed this story, you didn't just listen to one woman's return to work after the holidays. You practiced real English, the kind that lives in everyday moments. You saw how she said things like, "I'll give it a try," when she wasn't sure. How she whispered, "You're learning, you're growing," to herself when no one was watching. These are not fancy words, but they are powerful, and they're yours to use too. This video helped you hear natural sentence patterns like, "I'm trying to make sense of this," or "He smiled slightly and said." Phrases you can copy, speak out loud, and make your own. And let's not forget those real-life expressions. "You've got this," "Trust your instinct," or even, "It looked like a spreadsheet had exploded." They bring flavor to your English. They make your language feel alive, not like a textbook, but like your actual voice. So here's your tiny mission today. Pick one sentence you liked from this story and say it out loud 5 times. Slow, gentle, real. Let your mouth get used to the words. Let your brain say, "This is mine now." And if this story helped you feel more connected to English, not the grammar rules, but the real, emotional, human English, then share it. Send it to a friend who also needs a gentle push. Or keep it saved for the next time you feel stuck or small. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to Daily Drizzle English so you never miss a story that teaches you through feelings, not formulas. We'll be here with more soft stories, more life, and more English that sounds like you. Until next time, keep speaking, keep growing, and carry your quiet victories proudly.